High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello everyone and welcome to Overtime. I'm Regan Holgate.
And I'm Scott Leber. The playoff field was sliced in half last weekend, but we still have a lot of local teams in the thick of the postseason. They will all take the field tomorrow.
We'll preview those games for you, and of course Tim Bailey will join us. We'll run down our top Nick 10 football players for this season. And in our Spotlight segment, you'll meet Lena-Winslow's most dangerous Panther, senior Gage Dunker.
So let's lock in now on tomorrow's second round matchups. We have three Nick 10 teams that will again try to extend their seasons: Hononegah, Belvidere North, and Boylan. So let's start with the Indians, Reagan, the Nick 10 champs.
They'll be on their home turf again at Kelsey Field. In fact, all three of our Nick 10 teams will have home games for the second straight week. How about that? Last Saturday, the Indians had their way with the Auburn Knights, winning 56-12. Cole Warren threw 5 touchdown passes in that game. Isaiah Huey scored 4 touchdowns. Grayson Motter rushed for 83 yards and a touchdown himself. I mean, they really had everything going. This week, they'll face the Willowbrook Warriors, a team that has won 8 games and finished second in the West Suburban Gold Conference behind Downers Grove South. Willowbrook is no stranger to the playoffs. This is their 7th straight year in the postseason party. They have a defense that allowed the fewest points in their conference this season. I caught up with the Indians yesterday to discuss this matchup. What's the excitement level with these guys around this team right now? How excited are they ready for Saturday?
You know, I feel like right now we're pretty confident, but at the same time I told them, you know, you always have to be careful around 2. We can't ever overlook an opponent, and I think that we're focused right now. We had a good practice yesterday. Looking forward to a good one today, and I think that they're locked in and ready to go.
And just talk to me a little bit about Willowbrook and what you've seen in film and kind of the identity that you're seeing with this team.
When we look at Willowbrook, we see a big quarterback, 6'3", about 205, 210, somewhere in there, and he kind of commands their offense. So he not only throws the ball, but he's their leading rusher as well. They want to spread you out, and they want to kind of pick you apart defensively. So I think that's going to be our challenge, is to make sure that we're in the correct coverages and that we can put some pressure on the quarterback. Their defense is solid all around. I think they're pretty solid, but I think our offense has some weapons perhaps they haven't seen, and some looks that I think we can take advantage of.
Is this a different level of excitement for you guys, maybe finally seeing a team that you haven't seen before? Because obviously you got Auburn in the first round. Willowbrook is, you know, a team that you haven't faced so far this season, obviously.
Yeah, it was definitely a little awkward facing Auburn again, but I think everyone's just excited to see a new team.
And what did you guys take away from your win at Auburn that you want to continue on Saturday?
I think compared to our last game against Auburn, we really proved ourselves and we executed overall with our individual roles.
All right, and our Nick 10 analyst Tim Bailey joins us now. Hononegah had no trouble with Auburn last week, but obviously Willowbrook, different team, new week, clean slate, right? Zimmerman, you heard them talk there about them a little bit. How much more do the Hononegah Indians have to step up their game with this opponent?
Well, you're going to round 2.
Yeah,
as
right.
you said it in round 2. I mean, the competition is more difficult. So their level of play has to go to the next level. Each and every round they actually progress. But, you know, the team that they're playing, you know, they're no slouch. You know, they're good. And Coach mentioned, you know, they have a great quarterback. I saw some film on these guys this week. They really stretched the field. Great quarterback, run the RPO very well, very solid on defense. But I think what Hononegah is going to really have to do is really play solid on defense and slow that offense down of Willowbrook.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this pretty much all year. The thing I like about Hononegah, and not just tomorrow, but in these playoffs, is they don't rely on just a couple of guys. They've got so many guys who are playmakers on this team who can step it up. And I think this really makes Hononegah tough out in these playoffs.
Absolutely, I agree with you. They have a bevy of playmakers pretty much at every skill position. They have a good offensive line that protects Warren back there, and when he drops back in the pocket. You know, again, you know, due to their playmakers that they have, I think Willowbrook is going to really have a tough time really stopping 1 or 2 guys, because, again, if you try to double team one guy, somebody else is going to be open. I think Hononegah is actually going to capitalize on that if they see that type of defense this weekend.
Now let's move on to Belvidere North. The Blue Thunder have a 1 o'clock kickoff at home against the Wakanda Bulldogs. That's a Class 6A game. The Blue Thunder dominated Chicago Amundsen last Friday night, 38-20, and you were at that game, Scott.
Yeah, the Blue Thunder looked really good. They played with a lot of energy. A lot of guys played well, and now they get a Wakanda team that has won 8 games and finished second in the Northern Lake County Conference. They escaped the first round last week with a 1-point, 21-20 win over Fox Lake Grant. Here's Coach Jeff Beck on Wakanda.
very disciplined, good size up front, spread the ball around to a handful of different ball carriers. Offense very similar to ours, a lot of tight formations, multiple ball carriers in the backfield, not afraid to throw it.
You guys have had so much bad luck in the playoffs in recent years. To get that win last week, did that relieve a little pressure? What did that do for you guys?
Yeah, obviously we were close, and being on the short end of the stick with a couple close losses is always tough. Yeah, to get that first round win and move on to the second round like we did in 2017, it's just nice to have that momentum, and we're riding a little bit of a streak here, towards the end of the season, and we think playing some of our best football, so that's where you want to be.
All right, let's get Tim's thoughts on this one. Belvidere North finally saw that first round win last week, as we said. What are your thoughts about the Blue Thunder's chances tomorrow?
I think they have a good chance. Again, I had a chance this weekend to watch some film on their opponent that they'll be playing tomorrow. But, you want to see Brown and Bertolino on the field at the same time. I know Brown actually left the game, I think, in the second quarter last week. If those two can actually stay healthy, and then also, too, Gillen Swine can get that offense moving as he has been really all year, I think Belvidere North has a shot to stay in this game and potentially go on to the next round.
Yeah, Coach did confirm to me today Joe Brown is done for the season with his shoulder injury. So unfortunately, we're not going to see him, which really, they're a better team with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the third Nick 10 team that's going to try to get a second round win tomorrow at home will be the Boylan Titans. They're going to be facing a football program that's had about as much success in recent years as any program in the state, IC Catholic of Elmhurst. This will be the first time these great programs have ever met in the playoffs. Yep, with the Titans dropping down to 4A this year and IC Catholic moving up a spot from 3A to 4A, we will see this matchup. The Knights won the 3A championship last year, defeating both Stillman Valley and Byron along the way. It was the Knights' fourth state championship in the last 7 years.
We have all the respect in the world for IC, and we've been telling our kids all along, if you want anyone to even talk about you and being in that same conversation as being the best, you're going to have to go out here and beat the best.
8-2 IC Catholic is only a 7th seed in Class 3A, but throw that out the window. In their conference, the Knights have to go toe-to-toe with Wheaton St. Francis, Nazareth Academy, and Fenwick. The Knights' only 2 losses this season were by 1 point to St. Francis, which dominated Rochelle last week in Class 5A. The other loss was to Loyola Academy of Wilmette, which is the #1 ranked team in the state in 8A. Catch Torrey says IC Catholic's offense is very similar to Boylan's.
They've got some spread components. They've got some power components. Good-looking running back. So they want to run the ball at you.
The Knights also have 2 players who have committed to Texas A&M of the SEC. Quarterback Dennis Mandela is going there as a preferred walk-on. 6'5" tight end Eric Carner is headed there on a scholarship. Carner's a load, as the Byron Tigers found out last year in the semifinals when he broke free for a couple touchdowns.
Everybody wants a tight end that can do the things that this kid can do. When he's blocking, a gap is canceled. You put a ball up for him, he's got excellent hands. And we've seen guys like Cole Komet around here. I would put him in that kind of category.
This will be one of those games where the Titans need to minimize mistakes and bring their A game.
We're going to come and play, and hopefully we can put our best foot forward. And then if we got a chance in the back half in the fourth quarter, maybe we come away with one.
All right, Tim, if there's one thing we know about IC Catholic coming in this game, they're not going to have any jitters coming into Titan Stadium because their kids have played in so many big games the last couple years.
Absolutely. I had a chance to get my eye on those guys, too, again this week. They do so many things well offensively. They got 2 big guys that are going to the next level, Division I, going to Texas A&M, as you just saw in this piece here. But I think what Boylan has to do is just really come out and just really play ball. It's playoff time. Who cares who's going to Texas A&M? Who cares who's going to Georgia? Come out and actually play. And if they do that, I think they can stay in this game and possibly walk away with the victory. But, IC Catholic is definitely no slouch.
And I think we're hoping for a big second half in this game. Do you think it could evolve into a shootout maybe? What are you expecting with this one?
It could. It could. It depends on which Boylan team shows up. People have been asking me all week, what do you think Boylan's going to do? I said, well, it depends on which team's going to show up. If the Boylan team shows up that I know, that Boylan team that's been playing for the last 9 weeks, that have really been playing really solid, if those guys show up, I think Boylan can actually walk away with the victory at home tomorrow.
How do you defend a 6'5" tight end? Is Santana English maybe the guy there, or what do you do?
Well, you got to really slow him down. I mean, if he's coming off the line, you got to get your hands on him right away. You got to get him off of his route. You can't let him get into the top of his route, and you got to know where he is at all times. So hopefully, Boylan, if you do go man-to-man, they put their best guy on him, whether it's Santana or whether it's Caltagirone. I'm not sure who it is, but whatever they do, they have to be able to know where that young man is, that tight end is, and get your paws on him right away, knock him off his route, and make the quarterback beat you with his legs. Because as I'm watching film all week, he doesn't really run well. I think his strength is his arm.
All right, Tim, we're going to bring you back in just a bit to reveal your top Nick 10 players for this season, so stick around for that.
Up next, the small school playoff matchups for tomorrow, including the Forest and Lena-Winslow matchup, and Stillman Valley is set to host Dupec.
It's almost a given every year that Forest and Lena-Winslow will meet in the playoffs in Class 1A.
It's really just a matter of which round it will happen in. Last year they met in the semifinals. Lena-Winslow won that game, and then the Panthers won state. This will be the 9th time they've met in the playoffs. They also saw each other just 2 weeks ago in Foreston on the final night of the regular season.
Foreston gave the Panthers a battle for a half, which is more than pretty much anybody else can say this season. It was only 8-0 at halftime, but then the Panthers got rolling in the second half. They went on to win 36-8. Gage Dunker rushed for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns that night.
He steps it up in the big games. Foreston had some kids banged up with injuries that night. How much of a factor was that? Who knows? But the Cardinals will need everyone ready to roll tomorrow. That'll be a 2 o'clock kickoff in Lena. The Byron Tigers will hit the road tomorrow. They'll be in Piatone for a 3A second-round game. The Piatone Blue Devils have a record of 7-3. They finished in 3rd place in the Illinois Central 8 Conference behind Wilmington and Coal City. They've given up 24 points per game this season. It's not so great, and odds are they haven't faced an offense like Byron's. The Tigers are averaging almost 61 points per game this season. Last week they put up 72 against Chicago Noble Hansberry. Byron is a number 1 seed. Piatone is a number 9. Now, last week we had 2 first-round matchups that had teams from the NUIC and the Big Northern Conference going head-to-head, and the NUIC teams were the ones that came out on top.
Lena-Winslow beat Rockford Lutheran. Dupec beat Oregon. Now, Dupec gets another matchup with the Big Northern team tomorrow when it travels to Stillman Valley. The Rivermen took down Oregon last week 34-0. Again, that was a tight game for much of the day. It was only 7-0 at halftime. It was also a very physical game, and that's what the Rivermen are expecting again tomorrow from Stillman. Now, the Cardinals won a thriller last week at Chicago Noble Johnson. They won by a point, a game that was sealed by a late interception by Keenan McDevitt. I talked to both head coaches about this matchup tomorrow. I'm excited about this matchup because we've never seen it before, Stillman Dupec. Is that the feeling here among your coaches and your kids?
Yeah, it's been an interesting couple days, when you're playing somebody that local that you've never played, and they do things extremely well, and their concepts and schemes are different than what we've seen before. They do just a tremendous job in their spread offense, and so it'll be an interesting game, and one that we're going to have to be extremely well prepared for to have a chance.
Their quarterback, Cooper Hoffman, what do you see in him that maybe you don't see very often in quarterbacks at this level?
Well, I think he's the total package. He can run so well, so if you get some pressure on him, he can get away from that, but then once he gets his feet set, whether it's in the pocket or on the move, he throws the ball extremely well and very, very accurate too. And you can tell he's doing some things up the line as far as checking and getting his pre-reads. So it just seems like they got the whole system there with an incredibly athletic kid that has it all together mentally too.
A lot of people are excited about this game because we've never seen Dupec against Stillman Valley before. Do you sense that around here with your kids and your coaches?
Yeah, I think that's the neat thing about the playoffs, right? Is you get to see some different opponents, and for us coming from predominantly 1A conference in the NUIC, when us bumping up to 3A, we get to see a lot of teams that we necessarily wouldn't see in the regular season. So, obviously. Mike and I got to coach this summer together in the Shrine game, so we have a little bit of experience there together, but certainly looking forward to the matchup. The 2 different styles of offenses going at it, that's for sure.
How would you describe Stillman Valley? What will they bring to the table Saturday? Huh?
They're going to bring a lot of physicality to the table, right? They're going to, if we had to kind of use them close to like a Forreston, we joke all the time around here, not joke, but utilize, they're like a Forreston 2.0, right? They're ground and pound. They have the ability to pass the ball, though. They've got some athletes and they've shown that, so we have to be ready for that. But they're just going to be physical up front. We've got to match that physicality if we want any chance of being in the football game.
That should be a fun game tomorrow in Stillman with those Cardinal Kettlebells. Another big northern team will also take the field tomorrow. The Dixon Dukes, they have a road game in Burbank against the St. Lawrence Vikings. The Vikings have a 7-3 record. Last week they beat up on a Chicago Public League school, Chicago Vocational, 64-0. The Dukes won a defensive battle over Plano 10-7, snapping a streak of 4 straight first-round playoff losses.
The Sycamore Spartans will play a 5A game tomorrow afternoon. They have to travel to Gately Stadium on the south side of Chicago. That's where they will play Morgan Park. The Mustangs are 9-1, and they were champions in the Chicago Public League Red Conference. Sycamore's also 9-1. The Spartans looked really good last week in a 42-13 win over Evergreen Park. We're going to bring Tim Bailey back shortly to salute some of the top Nick 10 players for this season.
But next, it's our Overtime Spotlight segment. This time we shine a light on the guy who's the backbone of Lena-Winslow's football team, Gage Dunker. The Lena-Winslow Panthers have proven to be one of, if not the best team in Class 1A in the last 15 years. And in the last 2, Gage Dunker has shown us why he's one of the top players in the history of the NUIC. He's the one we shine our final spotlight on tonight, brought to you by Benchmark Exteriors.
Gage Dunker! He's just all in. Whatever he's going to do, he's all in.
When you talk about NUIC football in the last 2 years, you can't go without mentioning the name Gage Dunker.
I mean, that's pretty sweet because you grow up and you think of the Sean Omersons, Isaiah Bruce, my brother. You think like, man, you kind of want to be like that.
Those were some big shoes to fill, but luckily he had his big bro there to show him the ropes. Jennings is currently the starting right tackle for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and last week he was on a bye, so he decided to make a trip back to the old stomping grounds.
He's a huge role model. I mean, I don't know if I'd really tell him this first, but he's really who I look up to.
Gage's passion for football grew from watching Jennings all those years, repping the black and gold.
My love of football really started when my sophomore year, when I was able to play in those big games. I was like, man, this is sweet. And then seeing my brother play at the level that he does, and I was like, man, maybe I can do this, maybe not, but might as well give it a shot.
Fast forward to now in his senior year, and every time we see Gage, he's either popping off a huge run or scoring another touchdown. All that has added up to over 1,800 rushing yards and 33 touchdowns. But things could have looked a lot different.
My sophomore year, I really thought I was going to be an offensive lineman.
I said, no, I think we want you as a fullback right now, but I appreciate that. But if we change our mind, I'll let you know. Okay, I'll play guard for you. I actually gave him a hard time just the other day. I said, if you can get a 5th year, I'll let you play guard next year. And he goes, I'll do it this year if you want me to. But that's how he is.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the fastest guy. I'll own up to that. I'm definitely not the fastest guy.
But Lena-Winslow football still runs on Dunker.
Dunker! If you do anything besides give it to Gage, you're crazy. You know, I wouldn't have given it to anybody else. And everybody knows it's coming, but nobody has threatened to stop it yet.
First down yardage. As the Lena-Winslow Panthers stare down a 3rd straight state championship berth, Gage has a chance to make some history of his own.
That's pretty sweet.
He's 1 touchdown shy of tying former Lee-Win running back Sean Ormiston for the most rushing touchdowns in NUIC history.
It's just proof that hard work pays off, dedication pays off. And those two really are a similar mold to one another. They're not very far off.
And now that work ethic is being passed down to the next and final Dunker to move through the Lee-Win ranks.
Well, he's not really my little brother because he's probably bigger than me.
He's exactly the same as Gage, just a little bigger version.
Gannon is a freshman and starting at left guard for the Panthers, and he gets to learn from his big bro, just like Gage once did.
The world's kind of gone full circle. I feel like I kind of tried to figure out what the tradition was here, and maybe now, hopefully, I'm leading that tradition in the right way.
And you know what that means, Scott? That means 3 more years of a Dunker doing some damage for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think he's going to be big just like his oldest brother, Jennings, is quite big. Hey, don't go away because after the break, Tim's going to rejoin us for his top Nick 10 performers of the season.
All right, the man, the myth, the legend, Tim Bailey is back with us now. You'll remember in our preseason show, we picked our 5 players that we were excited to watch this season. Well, tonight, Tim is going to give us his postseason top 5 position-skilled players, and then the other top 5, because we're giving love. We're giving everyone love.
All right, well, this is kind of like back in 7th grade gym class. Remember, we got to pick teams. I want this kid on my team. So that's what we're doing here. So, Tim, give us your top 5 skilled position players in the Nick 10 for this season.
Well, here we go. On offense, number 1, Connor Dennis has been a phenomenal player for Boylan for the last 3 years on offense, starting, for the Boylan Titans. Number 2, Cole Warren. Cole Warren has really been a true leader for that Hononegah offense for the last few years. Next here, you go Javius Catlin. Again, you can't say more than enough of what this young man has done for the E-Rabs, and then also to becoming the Nick 10 leading rusher this year. Next guy is Jamani Muhammad, the heart and soul of Harlem's offense for like the last few years. Has really done a phenomenal job. It's going to be interesting to see what he does next year. My last but not least, Nico Bertolino. He's been really special for the Belvidere North offense all year, and he continues to do that throughout the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does at the next level. So I'm excited for those guys.
Okay, we got your 5, Reagan. Who are you going with, huh?
Hey, I think Cole Warren from Hononegah, obviously. I don't think there was any question there. I'm not gonna take your guy Connor Dennis, but Cole Warren, he is my go-to there. Obviously, can't go without talking about Isaiah Huey from Hononegah. We got to put him in there, give him some love, of course. And then, as you said too, Javius Catlin. The Nick 10's all-time leading rusher. Then what a title that is to have, and I think it was just awesome to see him, get that award, in his final game with the East E-Rabs. And then got to go to Nico Bertolino as well from Belvidere North. And then I have a little bit of a surprise here. I'm going to give you guys a new one. Messiah Tilson from the Guilford Vikings.
Yeah, I like that
He's
pick.
a sophomore. Scott really liked this one when he saw it. Okay, I think we're gonna see a lot from this guy the next 2 years. We said his name already a lot this season, and he's an exciting one to watch.
Yeah, he's going to be a terror, I think, the next 2 years on both sides of the ball and on returning kicks for Guilford. I like that pick. Good one. All right.
Let's go.
All right, I guess it's time for me to go here with my top 5. I think we've mentioned this guy already, Cole Warren from Hononegah. He's kind of my MVP for this year, too, because I've sung his praises all season long. He's just so efficient, plays within himself, doesn't try to do too much. He's got all these playmakers, and he always seems to know what the right guy to go to at a given time is, and he does that. So, and then lately, too, we've seen him pick it up with a running game, too. He's been running for some touchdowns lately. Yeah. So, Cole Warren starts off my list there. And then I'm going Nico Bertolino as well. Hard to leave this guy off the list. He doesn't get a lot of carries because, again, they have so many guys in Belvidere North. I think if he got the ball like 20-plus times a game, his stats would be pretty eye-popping.
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
So I like Nico, and then you got to have Javius Catlin, so there's another unanimous pick in there too. And again, Catlin, what he did this year with an East team that was down this year, and they lost a lot of their linemen, and every defense was keying on him, and he still ended up being the Nick 10 rushing leader this year. So great job, J. Cat. Then I'm going with Muhammad. So that's 3 pretty good running backs right there, Bertolino, Catlin, and Muhammad. And Muhammad, to get all the yards he got this year with the struggles Harlem had on offense, I think was pretty impressive as well. And then my last guy is Boylan quarterback Connor Dennis, who is just an amazing player, and I love the way he throws on the run, Tim. When he rolls out, he can still throw that ball accurate on the run, better than some Bears quarterbacks we've seen in recent years.
He's the real deal.
Jeez, I don't know about that comparison.
He is accurate on the run.
Connor's the real deal.
That's it. Now, we don't want to leave all the other positions out of this, including the linemen and the guys on the defense. So, Tim, give us your top 5 guys at all the other positions.
Here we go. My first one is, this young man's been formidable pretty much all season. Andre Pilgrim, he's done a really phenomenal job, really just getting great pressure on quarterbacks and actually slowing running games down. I mean, he's in the backfield every single play. They're really going to miss him next year over there at Hononegah. My next guy, his teammate, Michael Floriance. I mean, you're talking about a guy that can actually plug some holes, get to the quarterback, move sideline to sideline well, a guy for his size and his stature. He's done a phenomenal job all season. My next guy, DB, Isaiah Huey. I mean, Northern Iowa is really getting a true stud. I said this last year on the show. She laughed at me when I called him a stud, but,
Isaiah, I would never laugh. Okay, I would never.
He has been a really true playmaker in the heart and soul of that defensive backfield over the last 2 years for Hononegah. My next guy up, Baron Scholl, I mean, this young man, he's only a junior. The things that I've been able to see him do this year as a junior, I can only imagine him now getting in the weight room, working on his strength and conditioning, working on his improving his performance over the year, what he's going to be able to do next year. My next guy, Ryan Stark, linebacker for Boylan. I mean, he's the heart and soul of that Boylan defense. He plugs holes. He runs sideline to sideline well. I like what he does. He's a true leader. There's a reason why he's got that big C on his jersey over there at Titanland. So, again, those are my top 5.
Interesting. You got 3 guys from the Legion of Doom defense on your top 5. That says something about that defense, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're great, man.
Wait, okay, I do have one quick question for you.
boy.
Some of the Hononegah fans did stop me at the game last week, and they asked me, they were like, can you get Tim to say, "Go Indians"?
That ain't happening.
Sorry, guys.
I wish him luck.
I
wish him luck this weekend.
Good luck. I figured that wasn't going to happen,
Well, he
folks,
showed
but I
plenty
did
of
it.
love right there.
Three. I'm proud of you.
That's not part of my vernacular.
That's big of you. That's big of you. Okay.
All right, Reagan, so who's in your top 5? 5 Legion of Doom guys?
I think there's a few in there. Yeah, obviously I got to go with my guy, Isaiah, who I feel like I didn't realize I put him on offense and on defense, but you love seeing on both sides of the ball, obviously. Then let's go to Belvidere North. Eric Roman, linebacker there. I feel like he's always getting his hands on the ball, always getting some touches. I'm going to have to agree with you on the Ryan Stark choice because he's on my list as well. I think we've said his name quite a few times this season. He's always getting himself back there. And then Drake Brogy, O-lineman for the Hononegah Indians. I'm a big fan. You got to love the men in the trenches. You did your story on them this season. The teams don't win without those guys. So got to give them the love.
I agree.
And then Joe Holloway from Harlem. He's going to be my 5th pick. Someone we also mentioned quite a few times this season, and he was one of my sneaky favorites.
Okay, very good. Well,
it's a legit list. It's legit.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
No controversy here. Okay.
No, not at all.
I don't have to break you guys
Not yet,
up.
not
Can
yet.
you say go Indians?
Oh, I can, but I'm unbiased,
All right.
Well, she's wearing green tonight for a reason, though.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just
really
saying.
I'm
just throwing that out there.
messed
I'm just throwing it out there.
You're
You
right.
gotta show
All
it.
right.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Let's get to my top 5 other guys here. Hey, Isaiah Huey. There he is once again, folks. It's unanimous with Isaiah Huey. He's about as good as a defensive back as I've seen in the Nick 10 ever. His coverage on the receivers is tight as can be.
Yes.
But then his run defense is superb too.
He comes up.
I've seen him come up, in the backfield and bring down guys with some hard hits. I've seen him on the edge making tackles. He does it all.
Yeah. Panthers are really getting a good one.
They certainly are. Okay, and then my next guy is Ryan Stark of Boylan, so we're unanimous there. He's just a beast. He's an animal. He plays aggressive. He's a hard hitter. He's all over the place too, and I think we've said it here. He's that backbone on defense for the Boylan Titans.
Soul, absolutely.
All right, here's another guy we've already talked about, Andre Pilgrim of Hononegah. Long guy coming off the edge there at defensive end. He's got good speed, good quickness. He's just a tremendous young man, good kid too. And next up for me is another edge guy, Joe Holloway Rockwell of Harlem. He's a lot like Pilgrim. He's got the long arms, super fast, super quick off the edge. If you give me Pilgrim on one edge of my defense and Holloway Rockwell on the other edge, I'm gonna create a nightmare there for any quarterback with those two guys. So, and then my last guy is here. I'm switching gears a little bit from you guys, so I snuck in somebody else here. Freeport linebacker Dawson Holland. Every time I was at a Freeport game, and a Freeport kid made a tackle, I'd zoom in on him with my camera, and it would be Dawson Holland.
How about that?
He's everywhere. Between the tackles, he's really strong, and he also gets outside on the edges to make a lot of these tackles, too. So Dawson Holland, I tip my cap to you, young man. Great season there.
And guys, if there was a such thing as called NIL money for the high school athletes, I think all the young men that we highlighted tonight would probably be millionaires.
Yeah.
I mean, would you think? They probably
Maybe
would be
someday they
millionaires.
will.
I don't want to start a petition for that.
Yeah, right.
Now,
I shouldn't have said that.
I know we have a lot of you out there who disagree with us, which is totally fine. We're all welcome to our own opinions, and I know a lot of you parents disagree with us because we didn't pick your kid. But I just want to say, when you got 10 teams in the league and you're only picking 5 skill guys and 5 other guys, you're really limiting it down. So we're not here to give out participation awards to everybody. So we make this really tough for a reason.
Well, as I stated to you earlier, it's a performance-based award. These are the young men that have been actually performing week by week by week by week by week. And, again, everybody can't be on the list because if you had everybody on the list, it probably wouldn't be a good list.
It's like letting everybody in the playoffs because then you totally destroyed the celebration of getting into the playoffs. I do want to point out there's you probably caught on at home that Isaiah Huey was the one guy who made all of our list on both skilled and non-skilled offense and defense.
Yes.
So I think that again says a lot about the year that Isaiah Huey had.
Yeah, that speaks to his talent. I mean, again, Northern Iowa was really getting the cream of the crop.
Yeah,
when it comes to Isaiah Huey. I mean, he's just been stellar all year for the last 2 years. But they're going to get a really good treat coming that way. I think he's going to be going to school, I believe, in the spring. Is what I'm hearing.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I am hearing that. But then again, if he's not in the summer, that kid's going to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, Tim, if you had to pick right now your Nick 10 MVP, who are you going to give us?
My Nick 10 MVP right now, I got to go with Cole. I got to go with Warren. He's been the most consistent of the quarterbacks. Dennis has been consistent as well, but the games that I've seen Cole Warren play in, and there's been numerous games that I've seen him play, what he does offensively and when he gets in that huddle and what he's been able to do over this year has just really been nothing but phenomenal.
Okay. I got to agree with you there. I mean, if you're picking an all-around player, offense, defense, we would go back to Huey again because Warren doesn't play defense. But I would tend to go with Cole Warren for what he's done for the #1 team in the Nick 10 this year.
25 TDs at this point.
And only 2 interceptions.
Yes.
Again, that goes back to him making good decisions with the football.
And then threw 5 TDs last week against Auburn in the playoff first round. I mean, come on. The kid's on fire.
Yeah.
And his work ethic speaks volumes to the actual productivity that we've seen this year.
And did you hear what Scott just said? He said the top team in the Nick 10 conference. Scott, do you remember who chose the Hononegah Indians to win the Nick 10 conference?
I think there were a couple people up here who maybe picked Hononegah to win it this year. So.
There's a reason why like I just said, there's a reason why she's wearing green tonight. I mean, she doesn't want to admit it, but she's a true Titan fan.
That's a win for Reagan and Scott. So that's 1 win for Reagan and Scott, and it's a big goose egg over here for Tim.
Tim won last year, so
that's fine.
I guess next year is the
we started over. Yeah, exactly.
Well said.
All right, well, folks, if you want more from Tim on local football, check out the Bailey Pod. You can find that on YouTube. He discusses high school football and other sports with local coaches and players.
All right, thanks so much, Tim. Of course, always so much fun to have the three of us together, right? All right, we'll be right back after one final break. That does it for this show, folks. Our final football show of the season, and we've had a blast.
We've got our basketball version coming up in January. Until then, enjoy your weekend.